Hi, welcome to SavanKnits. This is my knitting podcast where I talk about my projects, things that I've finished and things that I'm working on with knitting. And my name is Savannah and I live in Utah in the United States with my husband and our two little boys. And let's see, today we just have a normal podcast episode. I have a lot of finished objects. I've been knitting like crazy the past couple weeks, and it has been a couple of weeks since the last podcast episode, so we have a lot to get through with that. And then I have a couple of new whips that I am very excited about, that I'm excited to talk about and show you guys. And then I also got in a yarn pre-order that I'm so excited about, and I want to show you guys that as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, you may have noticed that I am wearing one of my new finished objects. This is the Courage Henley by Tori Yu. I'll put up some pictures and videos of that so I don't have to get up and show you guys because it's really hot in this sweater, but I love it so much that I wanted to wear it for this video. This is a test knit. It comes out early next month, I believe. She said it would be released soon after the test knit is due, and that is due on October 5th, I think. So it'll be coming out soon. Highly recommend the pattern. But before I get into that, I'll explain what I kind of did. So I did a size 4 and I used 5mm needles, and this is Cascade 220 Doeskin Heather. I don't really have a yarn ball to show you, but that's the color. I love the color so much, and it's a good thing because I have more yarn, not this exact kind of yarn, but I have a similar shade in Drops Lima, and I'm just more excited to use it because I feel like this color goes really well with my skin tone and my hair, and it's something that matches with everything that I already own. So I'm very excited to get a lot of wear out of this Henley. I did not use stash yarn for this project. I did buy this yarn specifically to make this like right before I made it. I feel like with test knits, they just come up so quickly, and then I get really inspired, and then I think I have to make this like right now, which is why I need to do the test knit. But that often requires me buying the yarn because usually whenever I buy yarn, I buy it with a project in mind. So all of the yarn that I have already has projects assigned to it of things that I still want to make. So I did buy the yarn specifically for this, which I try not to do too often, what I call like splurge buying. But I feel like this sweatshirt, this Henley, will get plenty of wear. I can see it being one of my most worn items just because I can throw it on top of something or wear it by itself, and as I mentioned, the color goes with everything. So I am not mad that I made that splurge purchase for this test knit, and I'm really honestly excited how it turned out too. I feel like the fit is perfect. It's got the right amount of positive ease for my body, and I was able to modify the sleeves so that the sleeves fit me perfectly. I mentioned in my last podcast episode that I apparently have short arms compared to a lot of other knitters because I always have to modify arms on the sweaters or sleeves to be shorter. So I did modify these sleeves. I think for my size, it asks you to knit a little over 8 inches before you start the sleeve decreases, and I knit until a little over 6 inches. So I shortened it by about 1.5 inches, I think, and then I started the decreases. The decreases are on the outside of the sleeve, if you can see this line right here, which I had never done before, so that was kind of fun to see how that works up. And then after I did the normal decreases for the size 4, I think there's 8 decreases every 4th row, and then added 14 rows after that, and then the cuff. So yeah, not too big of a modification on there. And then with the body, I did make it 1 inch longer than what the pattern calls for. I think it's meant to be a little bit cropped, but I wanted it to be a little longer for myself. So those are the only two modifications that I made. As I said, the pattern is very, very easy to follow, very concise. She doesn't have a lot of wordiness or anything like that. Which sometimes I like all the wordiness because I like to have my hand held. So there were a couple of parts that were a little bit confusing, but I think she will clarify those because it is a test knit. So of course you're going to run into those things when you're doing a test knit of helping the designer with clarity and things like that. But even without clarifications, like I feel like this pattern is very, very classic, very good to follow, easy to follow. I had a really good time making it. The worst part was the buttons. I don't like sewing on buttons. They stress me out. I'm like, what if the button is like a little bit too high or a little bit too low and it's going to drive me crazy? But I think I did okay with these buttons. I think they look fine. I did end up, I didn't buy thread for the buttons. So I just got a strand of this Cascade, split apart the strand. It's a 4-ply, and so I just used 1 ply for the thread, which I realized going into it that it wasn't very strong, obviously, and it did kept breaking on me a couple times. So I don't know how well these buttons are going to hold up over time, but I don't plan on buttoning and unbuttoning a lot. So I think it will be okay if I just leave it how it is, and just slip it over my head and not mess with the buttons. They're mostly meant to be decorative. So I think that will work out okay, hopefully. Yeah. I started this project on August 8th and finished it on the 24th. So that's a total of 16 days. I have my notes right here if you can't tell. If I'm like looking down. Anyways, also Little Mermaid planner. Obsessed with Little Mermaid ever since I was a kid. And the new one with Hallie is amazing. Okay, tangent. That is my Courage Henley by Tori Yu. All right, the second finished object that I have are these socks for my son. These are made in a adult small, and I used the DK sock pattern by Summer Lee in her book The Sock Project, and I used Malabrigo Arroyo, something like that, in the color greenish blue. And this honestly is one of my favorite colors. One of my whips is using a greenish bluish yarn as well, and I am just loving it so much. So yes, I made these for my 4-year-old for his birthday. I did 5 rows, 1x1 rib for the cuff, 5 rows for the leg, and then just heel flap and gusset construction. And I am surprised at how much my son is wearing them. I thought that he wouldn't wear them that much because he doesn't love to wear socks. But he keeps asking me to put them on, especially when he's watching a movie, and it makes my heart so happy that he wants to wear them so much and loves them, that they keep him cozy and maybe give him a little bit of comfort. So very, very happy that I made these for him. Very pretty. I started these on August 19th and finished them on the 24th, so it took me 6 days, which is pretty darn good considering the busy weeks that I've had. So yeah, little tiny socks. I love them. They're so cute. All right, 2 more finished objects to go. I finished the penny gloves by Petite Knit. These are a gift for my husband, technically for Christmas, but I'm gonna give them to him now because it's going to snow before Christmas and get cold, so he'll need them before then. But yep, the fingerless gloves. I knit these on 3.25 millimeters needles, and I did it with Cascade Heritage 6 in the color Charcoal, and this yarn is so soft. It's so soft. It's splitty, but it's soft. So I think they make for great gloves. Very soft on the hands. Also, this pattern was so easy to make, like so easy. It's knit from the cuff to the fingers. You just knit this, you do some increases right here, put some stitches on hold for the thumb, knit the rest of the fingers, do a purl row, bind off, knit the thumb, do a purl row, bind off. Like, you could do it in your sleep. So they kind of replaced my sock knitting because I just wanted to get these done, and they were just so easy that I could do them, you know, during the day while my kids are playing, which is usually when I do my sock knitting. So very happy with how these turned out. The only modifications that I made was I did add a tiny bit of length to the thumb because I did find that they were a little short, and then I added a tiny bit of length to the fingers as well. And by a tiny bit, I mean like less than 1/4 of an inch, just like barely a little bit. But the fit is great. The fit is great for him as well. So they do fit larger sizes. Maybe I'll try these on for you as well. They won't go all the way up my arm because I have a sweater on, but I love how sleek they look. I really love how simple. There's nothing distracting about it. There's no pattern, there's no like lace, they're just plain, but I really like the plain. Like, I think it's perfect for gloves. So perfect for a unisex pattern as well, which was what drew me to this pattern. So yeah, I will be making this pattern 2 more times. I want to make some for myself, and I also want to make some for my dad, which I have already started his, which will be one of my whips that I show you later on. But yeah, these are the penny gloves by Petite Knit. Great pattern, great yarn, great product. And I started these on August 19th and finished them on August 31st. And so that was 12 days that it took me to make these. So again, perfect for gift knitting if you need an idea. Okay, the next finished object that I have is a beast. And I don't know how much I'm going to talk about it because I don't love the pattern. I wouldn't recommend it. It's also not size inclusive, and I started it before I realized how to support more size inclusive designers, and I didn't really understand all of the things behind that. So I also don't want to like give this pattern a lot of time of day because of that as well, but I also put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, so I want to acknowledge it in some way. But I just want to preface with that I don't know how I feel about this project, but I would not recommend it. So yes, this is my Esther. This is by Helene Mira and Scapel. It's got a little bit of a turtleneck, and then it's got some color work all throughout. Where do I even start with this one? I guess I should start with the materials. So 6mm needles. I used Cascade 220, which has been my go-to this past year, I feel like. I've got the shades Natural, and then let's see if I can remember which one. Antique Lilac is the pink, which is counterintuitive because it's pink. And then the blue is Soft Heather. In hindsight, I probably should have chosen yarns with more contrast. I don't love how much of a low contrast it is, especially when you look at the sweater sample. It's very neon, very bright colors, and I think I would have liked it more with the bright colors, more of like a statement piece. I think I just shied away from the hot pink because I never wear hot pink because I've always been told that you can't really wear hot pink with red hair, but I kind of wish I would have chosen hot pink and like a brighter blue or a brighter purple with it. It's not bad. And I also don't know how it like really compliments me. I don't know. I'm not sold on the colors. I do think it looks nice though. I think it still works. There's still enough contrast that you can obviously see what's going on with the snowflakes and the details, but it's not my favorite color choice I've ever made. I made this in a size small. I think there's only 3 sizes, if I remember right. And the size small is a 45-inch finished circumference, and I think the size large might go up to like 56. I can't remember. But yeah, it's supposed to have a lot of positive ease, and I chose not to do a lot of positive ease. I don't love a lot of positive ease, but in hindsight, I probably should have done a size medium because it was the body fit, but the sleeves were getting really tight. So I did end up, I'll talk about the construction first. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we start from the bottom up. You knit the body, put it aside, and then you knit the sleeves, and then you join in the round and then do the raglan decreases up to the collar. So as I was knitting the sleeves, I was struggling with putting them on. They were getting really tight. So I had to do a faster rate of increases for the sleeves, first of all, to make it fit me. And then I did follow the raglan increases as well as I could. The pattern was very confusing, so I just kind of did what I thought it was telling me to do, and I still don't know if I did it right or not, but it fits. So when I tried it on before blocking, it was quite snug. It didn't look very flattering, and I was really worried. So when I blocked it, I stretched it as much as I could, which with color work, you can't really stretch as much as you want to, because it just makes the color work look bad, and you can see between the stitches where you've carried the floats behind your work. So I wasn't able to stretch it very much, but it was enough that it looks okay and it fits okay now. So I'm very happy about that. And then the collar I did have to redo. So one of the things that the pattern has you do is it has you use the same needle for all of the ribbing, which I should not have listened to. I think I started this in January. So I feel like I've learned a lot about knitting in the past 8 months, 9 months, however much we are in the year. So I started this with just the 6mm needles, this ribbing down here, and I didn't size down or anything. So I wanted to keep that consistent with the sleeve ribbing as well. So I did a 6mm, and then when I got to the collar, a little voice in my head was telling me, no, do 5mm. Like, you want that collar to be cinched in. But then the rule follower part of me was like, no, just follow the pattern. Like, it will look fine if you just use the 6mm. Like, you just have to follow the pattern, which explained to me why I needed to follow the pattern when the pattern has failed me so many times up to this point. I don't know why I did that. So I did it in 6mm. I didn't do a turtleneck because it was just, I was honestly kind of done with this sweater. I wanted to finish it as soon as possible. So as soon as I did the minimum amount of ribbing, I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done. Blocked it, tried it on. It looked horrendous. I did not like the collar. I don't even have any pictures of it on me because I hated it so much. So I spent an evening, I ripped back, got the 5mm out, and I did a longer turtleneck collar, which looks a lot better. It changes the whole look of the sweater, still fits really well. I'm really happy that I took that time to rip back and redo it, because without doing that, I would have never worn this sweater at all. But now I think I'll wear it probably once a year. So, I mean, once a year is more than 0. I don't know, maybe I'll wear it more than once a year. That was the first biggest mistake, but then I was able to fix from the pattern. Other than that, the pattern, there's lots of dots missing on the chart. Luckily, I had heard other people say that, so I was able to go to their Instagram posts or Ravelry project pages and put in color in the dots that were missing before I got to them. So that was good. And honestly, doing this big of a sweater, I was able to not memorize the chart. I still had to reference it every single row, but I was able to kind of be intuitive on what should happen, and if something was off, then I would be able to notice it pretty quickly. So that was nice. Granted, there are several parts in the sweater that I just completely messed up and didn't catch until later, and then I just did duplicate stitch over them because I did not want to redo it. I'm trying to remember. I think it was like one of these arrows right here. You can kind of tell that some of, like, yeah, you can tell it's kind of bumpy. Not the same, it doesn't look the same as the other ones, especially that white stitch right there. But it's on the back, my hair will cover it. I don't care. I am not going to rip back color work to fix it. I'll just do duplicate stitch. That is my lazy way of doing these things. So yeah, dots were missing. The instructions were not very clear. I don't think they translated it into English very well. There are some things that they say in there that don't make sense in English, and I think they would have worded it differently had they had a different translator. So there's things like that. And then, yeah, it just wasn't very clear, especially when it comes to the short row shaping in the back, which it's not short rows, you're just working back and forth for a couple of rows. So if you can see the front, there's no blue by this collar right here. It had me bind off the stitches in the middle and then work flat for a couple of rows to give that extra length. But I ended up having to do a color change according to the pattern. So there's blue on the top half of this, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. It's just like, I don't know how this happened because I made the size small, which the designer made in her photos, and it doesn't match up. So I don't know what happened. My gauge must be off or something. So it had me working flat for a little bit, and I was just really confused on how long to work flat for. But I just had to try it on a lot and kind of make it up as I go, and it ended up okay. I think that if I were a beginner making this pattern, I would have not been able to finish it. So I'm really grateful with all the experience that I had, that I was able to finish this. And I think putting it down, so I started in January, put it down on and off until now. And I think that was smart because I learned a lot about sweater construction in between January and now, making different sorts of sweaters, and you soak up more as the more that you listening to other knitting podcasts, reading articles, reading about other people's experiences with patterns on Instagram, knitting different sweaters. I think I just learned a whole lot between January and now, and I don't know if I would have been able to finish this sweater if I had just stuck with it in January. So that ended up being okay. But yeah, the pattern was not enjoyable. And there have been many people who have said this. Scapel came out and said that they would do an update, and I emailed them to make sure I had the updated version. And they just said to go download it again on their website, which I did, compared it to the original version, and there were some changes. But again, there were stitch counts that weren't adding up. The dots were still missing on the chart. Some of the wording had changed, I think, a little bit, but not the update that it really needed. And I know Helene on Instagram has come under a lot of fire, and I do feel really bad for her because she came up with the design, but she didn't really write the pattern as much as other designers. I think she and Scapel kind of worked together to create the pattern, and then I don't even know if they had test knitters. I would be surprised if they had test knitters because of how unclear and all the mistakes in it. But I know that Helene put out a video and an Instagram post and everything, just like apologizing for all of it, but that a lot of it was out of her hands. So I think it's, not all of her fault, but I think it was just not a great experience for anyone, really. So this will be my last Scapel and Helene pattern, unfortunately. Even though they're so pretty, they are not size inclusive, which is a big X on that. And it's just not worth it. I am not putting myself through that again. I will stick with designers that I know and love. Like my Little Crystal sweater by Celine Phaeton. I love that sweater so much. And that pattern was a joy to work on. She just had so many resources and techniques and pictures to help you through the construction of the sweater and color work techniques and everything. And it was so much more of a pleasant experience. The last couple of things that I want to mention on this sweater is the raglan. The raglans also don't fit very well. They come up to here on my shoulder. Like, this has a saddle shoulder construction, right? So it's got this line here. That's where the raglans come on this Esther sweater, which you saw in the video. So it fits kind of weird. But I'm just interested to see how much I really will wear this. It is thick, so I don't know, but I also could like throw it in the back of my car and just have it on hand if it's like really chilly somewhere and I don't have warm enough clothing. But it's not big enough to like throw over the top of something. So that's kind of an issue for that purpose. I don't know. I'm going to report back and maybe do a video in a couple months and see what sweaters that I'm actually wearing and getting use out of. And I'm very interested to see if the sweater will make the list or not. I don't know. We'll see how much I reach for it. But with it not fitting super great and unsure about the color choices, and it being so like heavy and thick because it's worsted weight yarn and color work, so you've got like a double layer going on. We'll see. I don't know. We shall see if I get wear out of this, but it is pretty to look at, so I would think I will keep it. But if I don't get a lot of wear out of it, maybe it will find a new owner someday. I also want to say that if you want more details on the sweater, like if you happen to be making it, and you are confused like I was, I have all of my full modifications and clarifications on my Ravelry project page for this sweater. So if you need some extra help, you can go there. I'm also willing to look at it and try to help you. I don't know how much I can really help you because I barely understand the pattern myself, but I'm a resource if you need it. You are not alone in making this behemoth sweater. So that is the Esther sweater. You will probably never see it again on my YouTube channel. Maybe. Okay, it is whip time, and I feel like I have been talking for ages. This might be my longest podcast episode to date. So for the first work in progress, I have in this zip bag that I got for very cheap on Amazon because I needed a zip project bag for taking on the go. I am making penny gloves again. The penny fingerless gloves. These ones are for my dad for Christmas. I have only this much, so just a little cuff. This is Heritage 6, Cascade Heritage 6. Again, this one is in the colorway Bark. I love this brown so much. Look at that beautiful brown. I feel like I need a sweater out of this. I love it so much. So yeah. Nothing much to say on these because I've already talked about the penny gloves so many times, but 3.25 millimeter needles, sport weight yarn. Started these 2 days ago, so just have this much and hopefully I will be able to work on these more this week. Next is my new whip and I'm so excited about it. I am making the Farnham Sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. I am making size C. It's supposed to be a very oversized sweater. So I should be making like a size F or G, but I don't want that much positive ease. Usually I just want 6 inches at the most of my sweaters. So that's why I'm making a size C. I can't even remember what that bust size would be, or like that circumference. But I think it's around 48 or 49. I think it's 49 inches actually. I am using Drops Lima. I've got the colors Petrol and this is Off-White. Yes, Off-White. Again, greenish blues. I am into the greenish blues. Look at that. It's so pretty. I have more of the greenish blue, so that is what I'm doing as my base color. This is what I have. It's all jumbled up because I'm in the middle of things. So I've done the back. Let me see how this works. All right, I've done the back. This is the collar edge up here. So I've done the back, I've done the, there's a lot of short row shaping on here, and then just knitting flat until you reach the armhole depth. So I am just loving this contrast. Look at how pretty that is. This is my first striped project, if you can't tell. I am obsessed. I love it. And then I have finished the left shoulder, so I've just done that. There's also short row shaping to do that, as well as some increases right here to meet up with the collar in the front. And look how clean this shoulder joint is. I mean, as clean as I could do it. In theory, it's very clean, but I love how the stripes are lining up there. Do you see that? I think that that's gonna look so good on the shoulder. So I'm in the middle of doing that same thing on this other side. I just barely started though. I only have this much that I've done today. So working along. I am just obsessed with making this. I love it so much. I started this on August 31st, so I've been working on it for 4 days, and that is a lot of progress for 4 days. But it was the weekend, and I always knit more on the weekends, I feel like. I also want to do this one for my for the Fall Feels knit along, hosted by Jackie is Making and Moving Stitches, and it's a knit along that goes from September 1st to sometime in November. I can't remember. Okay, the end of November. Got my notes. It goes to the end of November, and it's basically whips are welcome. You just make something that represents fall to you or just screams fall, gives you the fall feels. And I had talked about the Farnham Sweater on my last episode, which was 14 fall knitting patterns inspiration, which I also talked about my fall plans in that video, and this sweater was on there, and because it gives me the fall feels with the stripes and the turtleneck and yeah, just the cozy striped sweater. Like, I feel like if I get this done in time, I would love to wear it to a pumpkin patch. We go to a lot of pumpkin patches around here. There's a lot of field, a lot of cornfields, so a lot of corn mazes, sunflower festivals, things like that, and I feel like the sweater would look so good next to some corn stalks and pumpkins and all of that. I feel like this dark bluish green would just really pop with like the oranges and the rusty colors of fall. So this is giving me all the fall feels. If you are also doing that knit along, please let me know, because it would be fun to chat about what you are making for that. So yeah, I feel like there's not much to say about this one because I'm still working on it, but that is my Farnham Sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. So I have a lot of yarn to show. I loved the Treehouse Knits. I think it's her Gilmore Girls collection. I think. I have not seen Gilmore Girls. I've seen a couple episodes here and there, but I am watching it. I'm starting to watch it right now. I want to watch it this year. So getting this yarn was very fitting for that. First off, we have 3 skeins of this purple variegated yarn. I was obsessed with it ever since I saw it. This is Dove DK, and the colorway is In Bloom. And I am planning on making a t-shirt with this. I want it to be a v-neck, and I want it to be close fitting because I could only get 3 skeins. So it's gonna be a shirt with little to zero positive ease. So I've been looking and looking, and I have a couple of ideas, but Star-Crossed Knits, her name is Tamara, she is coming out with a v-neck pattern. It's one of those ones that you can either do a short sleeve or you can add length to be a long sleeve, but it's very close fitting, very beautiful, very classic top, and I think that the yarn will really really show on that pattern. She doesn't have a name for it yet, and it's currently in testing, and I hadn't received the yarn by the time that she had the test call, and I was working on this test knit, so I didn't want to overwhelm myself by getting another test knit, but you better believe as soon as that pattern comes out, I am buying it because I think that that's what I want to do with this beautiful, beautiful purple yarn. I don't know if I will make it this winter because it is a t-shirt, but definitely in the spring if I don't get to it before then. Next are just some single skeins. So I have this one. Look at those colors. I love the I love how the colors aren't like super coming through. They're what's the word? I always forget words when I'm talking on the camera. No, the colors just aren't vibrant. I can't think of the word. You probably know the word. Too bad you can't tell me. This is Spruce Sock in I Smell Snow, and I'm obsessed. I was gonna make socks, but then I was worried that the socks would get a little bit dirty because it's a lighter color. I've had that happen with some other lighter yarn that I've made socks in, so I don't know. I was also thinking of like a musselburrow hat or a scarf. I don't know what to use this for. Maybe I'll just end up doing socks anyways. But if you have like a favorite fingering weight single skein project that's not the Sylvie scarf, because I've already made that one. Now that one is DK, isn't it? Anyways, if you have a favorite, let me know so I know what to do with this beautiful, beautiful yarn. Colors are muted. That's the word I was looking for. Muted colors. There you go. Bear with me, guys. All right. And then the last one that I have is this kind of a sock set. I didn't buy it as a sock set. I just bought this mini to go with this skein. These are both Spruce Sock. This one is Dragonfly Inn up here, and this one is, it's a long name. Get ready. You look like little birds, help you get dressed in the morning. And if I watched Gilmore Girls, I would know the significance of what this means. But it will come soon, because I'm watching it right now. But I just love these so much. I mean, look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. I love it. That's like me in a skein. It's got all my favorite colors in it. So very excited to make this sock set. I've never done a contrasting heel and toe before, so I'm excited to see how that will work. I can't decide if I'm going to do an afterthought heel or if I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset and just do it in a different color. I don't really love the German short row heel, at least Summer Lee's version of that one. It doesn't fit very well. But I have heard other people having success with other people's German short row heels, so maybe I'll try that. I don't know, but it will be beautiful. Okay, I think that is all the knitting related things that I have to talk about on this podcast. A quick reading and watching update. I am currently reading, I'm listening to an audiobook of The Only Plane in the Sky, and it's an oral history of 9/11, and I am loving it. It's very heavy, but so incredibly worth it. It's listening to the stories of 9/11 are incredibly inspiring and incredibly sad. It's the perfect read right now with 9/11 coming up. So I'm enjoying that. I am also reading Once Upon a Boy Band by Jenny Proctor. I'll put a picture here with the actual cover in color because Kindle doesn't do color. At least mine doesn't. It's just a light, fluffy rom-com. I really enjoy Jenny Proctor's book, so if you need a recommendation for Kindle Unlimited romances, I highly recommend Jenny Proctor. And then I've been watching the second season of Rings of Power. I'm really enjoying that. I've been watching a little bit of Top Gear as well, The Bachelorette, and then as I mentioned, I started Gilmore Girls. So if you love Gilmore Girls and have watched it, let me know all the things. Let me know. I know that people have their opinions on who their favorite guy is for Rory, so I'd love to know that. I'm excited to be in the know on Gilmore Girls, finally. But yeah, I think that's all that I have for today. So thanks for sticking with me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you are liking these podcast episodes, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you're working on. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, I just hope you have a great week of knitting and life stuff and all of that. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.